Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, if you're a new viewer, or if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you so much for stopping by. If you have not yet subscribed, please do the needful and subscribe to this channel. And guys, before I get into today's video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the support. Thank you for viewing my video last week. I wasn't too sure about this YouTube business, just being an opera this lockdown, but you guys have been so amazing. Your support means a lot. Each and every one of you means a lot. Okay, so in today's video we're going to talk about something that I've been asked by parents who want to skip their kids. I've been asked by students when I used to do the high school tours. They used to ask me if they should do it or not. Sometimes I've been asked about it in interviews, and I've never had an opportunity to actually cover it in depth. So I'm going to do it now in this video. So stay tuned. If you know of how I skipped, you're probably going to need to skip. I'm going to put in the description box where I start talking about the pros and cons. But for those who do not know, I'm going to just give you guys a brief story of how I skipped. So I skipped both formally and informally. So informally is when I didn't have money and I had to start on my own and just didn't feel the need to actually use 4 years of studying to write Form 4, and I did it in like 2 years. But then the formal one was when I was actually in school, and I skipped going to school so that people who I was with in this grade actually see me in the other grade, you know. So my primary school, I started my primary school in good schools. Well, this was still in other areas, but they were better schools. But then when I was in grade 2, because the better school was called my prison school and it was so far away from home, so I had to transfer to a school called Huruza Primary School. Huruza Primary School was a farmhouse. So when the white farmer was evicted, the farmhouse was taken by the new farmer, and then we were given a place where the farmer used to keep their poultry. So the the grade 1 classroom was actually quite simple. It had a window, and it had one window and it had a door, but the other classrooms were not that great because they didn't have the fourth wall, so basically they didn't have doors. And then the other thing is we only had like 3 teachers. So and what ended up happening is grade 1 and 2 were learning in one class, 3, 4, 5 in one class, 5 and 6, 6 and 7 in one class. So the teacher would come and say, you know what, this is grade 3, all the grade 3s look this way, and then you'd look that way, get your work, and then get it over with, and then you get what to do. And then they would teach the grade 4s and then the grade 5s. So what happened for me was I started this school when I was in grade 2. So after grade 2, I went to grade 3. When I was in grade 3, the second time I was given a paper for grade 4, but this paper was a math paper, and I'm naturally good with numbers. My numbers no kubasa. Okay? So I was naturally good in numbers, and I totalized that paper, okay? So the following term, I requested the teachers to actually write the exams with grade 5s, even though I was in grade 3 and I was doing work with grade 3s. We were learning in one classroom, so that is why I think I was given the paper by mistake. Then when I was now in so the third term of grade 3, I wrote exams with grade 5s, and I was number 1 in grade 5. The teacher didn't have problems with me writing those exams, and I remember the teacher, he was so proud, and he brought me my first chocolate. It was a photo in that white paper. At first I thought it was salt because, bruh, sis didn't know what chocolate looks like, okay? So after passing grade 5, then there was a story of which grade was I going to go to. So at first people thought, no, she's just going to go to grade 3 to grade 4, because although I had the last term I had written exams with grade 5s, and when I was still in grade 3 I was still going, so normally I would be in grade 4. But then what happened is I cried. I said to my teachers, I am as good as I have performed better than all the grade 5s. So there's no way I should go to grade 4. If I'm going to go to grade 4, then everyone is going to go to grade 4. Okay? No one was going to go to grade 6. I made a scene. I sat at the assembly point. I was crying. The headmaster came, asked me what I wanted, why I was crying, and everything. I was sort of a special kid because I was also like prize-head girl already. So yeah. So uh, and I was in the school team for soccer and everything. So, and then there wasn't a lot of kids there, so we had personalized contact with our 3 teachers. That's how they must then came to me and said, "Why are you crying?" And then I told him I needed to go to grade 6 because I was the best in grade 5. And the teachers wanted me to go to grade 4. So now there was one lady teacher, Mrs. I'm not going to say her name. So she said to me, she sat me down, and she said, Maud, school is not just about you passing, it's also about you being around your age mates and growing up, learning your social skills, your psychological skills, and everything. Being around your age mates does good for you. But then I was 8 years. I didn't care. All I wanted to do was to be balling into that grade 6 class. So I did, and then I ended up saying, you know what, there's no harm, let her try grade 6. And then I did grade 6, and then later grade 7. Then I had 4 units at grade 7. Then the informal skipping happened. That is how I managed to then go to university when I was 14 because of the skipping of grades. All right, so I did skip, and so I am not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. I am not a pastor. I'm just a person who's experienced skipping grades. And from my experience, I'm just going to give you guys the pros, the cons, the positives that I've noted, and the negatives that I've noted. And then you're going to conclude for yourself and your own whether making them skip grades or whether you skipping grades is the best thing for you. So the first thing that I want to talk about that will make me never ever regret skipping is the opportunities that came with it. So for me, because I didn't just skip one grade, in total I skipped about 4-5 grades. So I was 4-5 years younger than the people I was now in university with. So that created so much opportunities for me. I can never discount that. And with my story, I can never discount that. Without skipping grades and my story being what it became, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to talk to you guys. I would be somewhere else, to be a different life. So for that, I will never ever regret the decision to skip. Not never, no matter the negatives that might come, if there are any. Then the second thing that I want to talk about is the opportunity that you get to actually do, the ability to do your things while you're young. Now imagine, I am 22 right now, and my classmates, the people that I actually started grade 1 with, in my rural home, not in Handelsroad, grade 1 with, there is a boy, and he's a fine young man, is doing so well for himself. He's in 3rd year or 4th year at university studying law, and here I am. I'm done with my masters. I'm done with my CA exams, and I have the opportunity to actually plan out a new future. I still have energy. I'm now exposed to so many things. I can regroup and dream, if there's a word like that, rethink my future. So I do feel like there's a more opportunity for me because of the skipping that happened. So I can never discount that as well, the ability to actually accomplish everything when you're young, and then you move on to other things. And with school, being able to open up your brain, my brain is open at such a young age, and for that I'm very grateful. For that, I would tell everybody who wants to skip to say, you know what, go for it. If that's what you're looking for, thumbs up, go for it, right? But then the other thing, the third thing, is the confidence that comes with skipping grades. Guys, with school, I don't struggle much with school. I'm not saying I don't get scared of exams or whatever, but I don't doubt myself when it comes to school, because I skipped a grade. I skipped grades and managed to make it work, and it wasn't as difficult as people actually think it was for me. I mean, in terms of schoolwork, and that alone gives me so much confidence when it comes to school. So I'm never in a panic mode of, am I going to pass this exam? Am I going, even if I don't do well probably in a test or whatever, I always know that the end result is I'm going to pass because it just happened before. So the wisdom that comes from um, skipping classes, skipping grades, not classes, skipping grades is huge for me. Absolutely, I'm so confident in my academic prowess, um, and that is a positive thing for you, for how you apply yourself, and how you focus on whatever you need to focus in life. Confidence is key, and for me, skipping grades actually managed to give me that. Then the fourth thing is the challenge. So for some people, schooling becomes boring if it's not challenging. You should be able to be met with something new every time you go to school. That's my mantra. If I'm going to go to school, I'm supposed to come back with something new that I've learned. So for some people, school represents I already know things already, because for me, when I was in grade 3, the reason why I was able to actually pass grade 4 test and grade 5 test and be number 1 and continue being number 1 grade 6 or 7 is because by the time I was grade 3, I was so focused on going to school because we were so poor, and I was thinking this is the only way. I was told and I was thinking this is the only way I can change my family's life. So I took it seriously, and it was that big for me. So because it was that big for me, I applied so much effort. And so when I was now in grade 3, there wasn't really much to learn there. When I was now in grade 4, there wasn't really much for me to learn. And for some people, when your brain is not learning, when you're not learning anything new, your brain is not applied, you then tend to then divert that to get your attention somewhere else. Like then people become bullies, people become that. So for that reason, if you want a challenge, if you feel like you're not learning anything new, you need to learn something new, go for it. Skip. Then the other thing is, I live my life in retrospective, because I don't need to be told that if you're 24, you actually go through this, and then it turns out that, well, I do need to be told, but I mean, uh, I have seen people who are 20, because my classmates are probably 26, 27. So I already know what I have a front seat, because they became my friends. So I have a front seat to what they're going through, what is going on, because life is bigger than just what's your grade in school. There's some things that some 24-year-olds are going through that I'm not yet going through, the kind of things, social pressures, whatever is going on. So I already know what to expect and sort of know how things turn out. This was very useful for me as I was in my formative years, and I didn't need to be told that, oh, if you do this, it's going to do this, because I was already seeing this in my classmates, seeing how this was panning out in my classmates. So I feel like skipping grades gave me the opportunity to actually live my life in retrospective, like, oh, if I do this, it's going to end up that way. Okay, so those are the pros that I can tell you guys from skipping grades in school. But then the downside is there's something that I call the time trap. You then end up defining a lot of things around time that you actually have to tell yourself to snap out of it. For example, right now, I'm not yet registered as a chartered accountant, but in my mind, I had told myself by the time I'm 22, I should be registered as a chartered accountant. So now I'm thinking, you know what, I'm not as much of an achiever as I think I am, or I haven't done this that I wanted to have done by this time. And I forget that I'm actually 22. So you end up being in a race with the 22-year-olds, with the 26, 27-year-olds, of which you forget that you actually have time. I've also seen this happening with even people who skip by a year. Sometimes you forget that, you know what, you're still just young, and your life is more than what can be defined in terms of age. Age at some point becomes just a number. And also the time trap of, I was always the baby of the class. Okay, when I was uni, I was a baby. When I was now 4 or 5 and I went into formal school, I was the baby. I would, when people some people would be wearing stilettos, I was good with my school shoe and everything. So sometimes I also have to snap out of it to say, girl, you're not 14 anymore, because also people try to also keep defining me as the 14-year-old. So sometimes I have to actually snap out of it to say, no, you're not. 14 anymore. So the time trap is real. You tend to define everything in time and in being a child, or in being grown. You tend to sort of like lose a balance and to make a conscious effort to actually get that balance. Then the other thing that you need to consider before you actually decide that you're going to skip. My skipping was triggered by my performance in math. Now, before you actually use your math performance to say, I'm good in math, so I'm going to skip. There's English, there was content, general paper, then there was Shona. So there are four, we used to have four subjects. So there are three other subjects that are not just the one that you're good at. So now that if people hype you up and you're hyped up as this brilliant person, the expectations that come with that you're really brilliant and you know everything. So you need to assess whether you actually know everything else, or you're just good in one subject. And once you are sure of you are good in everything else, then please, by all means, go ahead and you know what, you can skip. But I do hope you get what I'm saying. Make sure that it's not just one subject brilliance, but it's brilliance in everything before you take on a new grade, because that means a higher complex, a more complex syllabus or whatever it is. So you need to actually be ready for it, because if you're not ready for it, it can be disheartening, and it can also now take a knock on your esteem. You start thinking you're stupid, and then people will always be on some I told you so. Okay, people are always on some I told you so. That's a sort of another day. I'll do a video on that. Then there's also what are you capable of. Sometimes it's not all brilliant that needs you to be skilled. Sometimes you're just the best in grade 4, not that you need to go to grade 5. So there's also a trade-off that needs to be done sometimes, to say, are you average, are you more than average, or are you skipping? Because so you sometimes you get back from being a top student, and then you go into the next grade, and then you're now the part of those people that are the least performers, and then that can also take a knock on your esteem, to say you were the celebrated one and this end, and then on this end you're just average. There's a trade-off that you need to take to see and then make. But for me, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't mind going to the other grade and actually be average there than to be the best in grade 4. Like, and then the day my report said we were grade 1, we're number 1s, and grade 3s, they're gone. Like, who cares? I mean, for me, because going on, you're taking a new challenge, and you don't, because at the end of the day, the race is between you and yourself. So being top student doesn't really mean that much to me. Then the other thing, the most important thing, is the psychological effects of skipping grades. So as I told you, in primary I was 2 grades ahead of people. I skipped 2 grades. Then I skipped other grades in high school. So I was literally 4 years younger than everyone who is soon as Form 5. I was 4 years younger, 4 or 5 years younger, 4 years younger than the youngest person. So what happens is you will feel like an island, okay? The only land surrounded by water. What do I mean? I mean, you can't go to your peers of your age. I couldn't go back to my peers with Form 1s when I was Form 5. So I would go there at break time when I was Form 5, go there at break time. Then as soon as break is over, I go back to Form 6s. And then as soon as break starts, I go back, something like that. But when I was now at university, now the dynamic was different. I was now only around 19-year-olds. The youngest would be like probably 18, okay? So I'm around all these older people. They can't relate. Sometimes they would actually even say, Maud, so please, can you leave us for a moment? And then I can't go back to my age mates and start talking about metrons in high school. They can't really relate. And the problem is there is really no one that can actually relate with you and what you're going through. Like, I was in college and I was starting to have my period in college, and people, they've already defined themselves to some extent, and I was out here still trying to figure out, so who am I? and everything like that. And this was an environment where everybody else knows who they are. So that had serious, I felt like an island, and nobody could relate to what I was actually going through. That's why when my little brother then started at uni, I made sure that I was his friend, his legit friend, to make sure that he has a friend who understands what he's going through. So I'll tell you a story about this situation as well. When I was form 5, we had freedom. We were form 5s when it was still swaggerous to be form 5. Okay, so what ended up happening is I would be late to go to not really late, but like for example, my lectures probably started 2. I was in a hot sitting school for form 5. Problem is my classes started 2. What I'll do is I'll probably get there by 1, even though assembly was at 12 or whatever. Knitting clothes for my dolls because I was only 12. This is normal behavior for a 12-year-old. They're still in primary, but here I was in form 6. Okay, so I was younger than the form 1, but I am supposed to be in a position where I'm now taking responsibility for my life and all that. So the psychological effect is really huge. Okay, so those are the pros and cons, and you make a decision. Sometimes in life there's really no perfect way. Hey, you just have to choose your cross, choose what you're willing to live with, and carry it. And I chose to carry my cross, and I'm good with it. I'm happy with that. With time, now that I'm 22 and my classmates are now 26, 27, we're kind of almost going to the same thing, like we can relate in some way. So that has been coming, solving itself, that social effect. It's not like bullying, whatever. It's just like isolated. You're just there alone. So that has been with time. Anyway guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Don't forget to like this video if you like it, to give it a thumbs up, and then please subscribe to my channel for more content. I upload once every week nowadays. Till the next time.